Hey, KB2IDX here. About 5 minutes. We're going to get the net started. Ham.live is open. Already got 17 folks in there, so 18 folks in there, so come on and join us in there. KB2IDX, see you in a few. KB2IDX from W0SUN. Hey Chris, how am I sounding? Sounding good, sir. Basing on the last person I heard, I'd say you're right up there where it should be. KB2 IDX. Okay, very good, very good. All right, let's get started, and I'm going to pass it to you. Welcome, everybody. The previous net, this is no longer the digital learning net. Now we're the new Colorado Hotspot discussion net, paying homage to the original net on Colorado HD. That's the reason we call it Colorado HD. So, yeah, for the same time, same channel, same place. A little bit different. We're going to just cut it down a little shorter. Basically, very similar format. Over to Chris, KB2IDX with the Colorado Hotspot discussion net, and go ahead and I'll let you start things up. This is W0SUN. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's so short that it's already over. See you later. Good night. Har, har, har. Okay, and no more script. All from memory. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. You are now on the Colorado Hotspot discussion net. basically, as Bucky said. Thing that shorter, more intense though. And welcome aboard. So, we also like to take our check-ins from ham.live. Any browser you might have, just go to ham.live, and if you have a Gmail address, you'll see that there is a button to click on for Gmail. And if there's a box if you have a different kind of email, just follow the prompts and you'll get auto-logged by the AI. We will also take over-the-air check-ins as well. And we can take your questions over the air if you have them. We prefer to take all of that stuff online, but we're not leaving you out if you can't get to a computer. If you are, and you have a question, you can always click on that little hand icon down at the bottom of the screen inside ham.live. And while you're down there, make sure you have that star clicked as well. Once you have that clicked, it'll make sure that when the ham.live goes live for this net, you will get an email. And that's usually about 30 minutes ahead of time. Great. Please take note, of course, that I have put some links in the chat room already. We are also available on Hoseline from Brandmeister, talk group 31088, and Matt, new call sign N3PAY, formerly KS0OWB, also operates a YouTube channel for us, and that link is in there. You just click on that to go to his website, and that'll take you there, and you'll be able to do it without a license. Just listen there. And so if anybody you know wants to listen, that's a great way if they don't have a license. You will also find that there are links for our website, coloradodigital.net, which is in the process of being updated as we speak. And I think Bucky might mention that a little bit later, but that link is also there. A special attention to, please, as the donation at the bottom of the page. If you feel like dropping a quarter in the bucket, please do so. It's not free to run these things and keep them operating. It's all AMs doing their thing. Reset KB2IDX. So, with all that in mind, I say let's get ready to have an evening. And again, I echo, it's great to have you back, Bucky. It's going to improve our Wednesday nights, I think. We already know it helps, but I just got to say it again, man. Glad you're back. But take it easy until you're fully healed. Don't get too stressed out. Relax. So, Bucky, I'm going to turn it over to you. Please fill in any spots I might have left out, and tell us what we're going to do this evening. W0SUN from KB2IDX. All right, thank you. Hang on, I'm still getting a bunch of things ready. Let's see. Okay, get that ready. Okay, good deal. Yeah, so let me start out by just mentioning who's checked in so far. And we'll take a couple of over-the-air check-ins I was so busy getting stuff in here. Did you do over-the-air check-ins? I don't think you did, but I can if you didn't. Actually, no, I didn't. And I'd be glad to read the ones that are already in the chat room, if you'd like. Or you can do it. It's up to you. But I have done no check-ins yet. Okay, I'm limited on typing. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I took a really bad fall, and I was at Ham Radio Outlet here in Denver. Took a huge fall. Don't worry, no radios were harmed in the process. Everything was safe. I did take a few scrapes, including managed to do a break on both wrists. Um, yeah, so I have a really difficult time to type, and not driving yet, but we're getting there. Anyway, but I do know who has checked in yet, and then I'm going to let you take over the air, and then no, actually, I'll take over the air, and you can do the typing. So let's do it that way. So here's what I got. Myself, Chris, K0GIO, W1BKW, K0EB, KN6WES, AC0XW, KF5CJG, N1UKJ, KF0OTF, W0KBZ, KF0IGK, N3PAY, N0KU, KE0TPW, N9DYO, KC0LVY, KE0SMR, WA2NYY, K2AS, KA1CNF, KF0USF, N6UTC. Let me break real quick. And Charles, WD0CIV, and Ray, KC1RAY. Anybody that does not have access to Handout Live, and you should because we post a lot of cool stuff in there, but anybody that would just like to check in over the air, come on in with your call sign.
Whiskey 5, C.
All right, good deal. Steve, always good to have you back from Texas, W5STC. We got you, and that's all I saw. So let me pass it right back over to Chris, and we got a few things going tonight. So, oh man, I don't know. What should we talk about? Let's just talk about the M17 stuff, I guess. But unless you have something you want to talk about first, but I'll let you start it off, and then we can talk about some more stuff. I actually do have quite a few today, quite a few things. Go ahead, Chris. KV2IDX, this is W0SUN.
Okay. Well, we did have two pretty big events that hit ham radio this past week. One, of course, the M17 thing, and also Hamsack Hotline. Hamsack Hotline is going away. End of August. Bye-bye. We can talk about that later, though. But M17, in case you were unaware, which a lot of people are not aware, we woke up the other day to find that it was no longer on our hotspots. Literally not in there. Overnight update took it away. A little further digging, we discovered they officially removed it, and they listed the reasons why, and we're going to get some links to that so you can read it. And it, okay, here begins personal opinion. I'm sorry. It appears that there is a bit of a spat going on, and if you are a fan and interested in M17, I think, and again, personal opinion, I think, hold on, it's not over yet. But WPSD and soon to follow TriStar dropped support for M17 in their hotspots. And it was not mentioned ahead of time. Nobody knew it was going to happen. I'm going to time out. And so for most of us, it was a big shock. I have been following M17 pretty much most of this year. I've been following it since I first heard about it, but I was intensely interested. And the last 3 or 4 months, I was considering getting the Connect Systems, the $500 radio. Now, I think not. I think it'll be resolved, but right now it just sounds like two people at each other, egos. That's my guess and opinion. And I think it'll eventually, one way or another, get resolved. M17 still active on in some manners. I can't really remember what I saw, but it's not totally gone, but it's out of the hotspots. And we've got our links in there. And I'm going to turn this over to Bucky because we also have messages from a rebuttal to the original message is available as well. So that's what I know. It's just gone, and I think it needs to be resolved one way or another so we can move on and continue on experimenting with M17. Back to you, Bucky. And we'll bring up Ham Shack Hotline later on. KB2IDX.
All right, thank you, Chris. So last Saturday morning, we received a statement from one of the people in the M17 project, whose name is Jonathan G4KLX. Very talented individual. We've known a lot about Jonathan. He's one of the authors. He put a large part of PyStar code together with Andy in the early days. In fact, he wrote most of the code with the MMDVM interface with PyStar, which is now we have to thank him because that portion of the code is also in WPSD. So he's been around forever. I put a link on the PyStar.uk website, and you can actually read about who was involved in creating PyStar, which runs on Raspberry Pi, right? So Jonathan Naylor, he's the expert with MMDVM. Been around a long time. Was very instrumental in the M17 project. So Saturday he issued a statement that it is regrettable that we removed M17 from the MMDVM project. And he included two categories of statements. First of all, he included administrative side. Okay, the administrative side. Let me just go into a quick summary of what that was. Okay, administrative side. He mentions the grants that they received from the ARDC. The ARDC was the group that had all the IP addresses that were assigned in the early days of the internet to ham radio for experimental purposes. I mean, we're talking a lot of Class A IP addresses out there, which there's a huge shortage of IP addresses. And now we're doing IPv, that was IPv version 4, now we're doing IPv version 6. And early days, man, those things are like worth a lot of money. Everybody needs IP addresses, which is right on, Class A. If you know a lot about IT, we're talking Class A IP addresses. So, Ham Radio Foundation, ARDC, and you can look it up later. I'll tell you what they stand for later, but they had all these IP addresses that they sold, and they had this money for donations to projects. They gave $478,900 to the M17 Foundation to do this. So anyway, he goes on. Let me reset. Sorry about all that. Okay, so the first category is administrative side. So he thought that the M17 project did not give enough credit to certain organizations like the MMDVM portion of the code. Also, he mentions Jerry with Connect Systems Inc., who does those M17 radios. They didn't give enough, uh, credit to him, and that's the administrative side, basically. So he's kind of, okay, well, if you didn't really put a lot of credit to these two portions, then we're going to go ahead and, I guess you don't need them, we're going to go ahead and pull them. But then the second thing he talked about was technical. So that was, the first part was the administrative side, the second side portion is the technical side, and so he talks about many reasons about that. He talks about the, hang on a second. I'm not going to go really, you can read all this stuff about technical, but he did mention one organization that I have to state. I'm going to just quote this portion because this is very interesting. I got time. So they're taking for granted the DV modes, and they're taking for granted the transcoding portion. The transcoder portion, the M17 uses codec 2. They don't use the ambient version, and I guess he wanted to use a better portion of the codec, and there's something where they, I don't know. He's mentioning a lot of information about the vocoder. Let me just see. Very weak end of message indicator. This is good. I'm sorry. Let me tell you a little bit about this portion here. Let me explain it better. I get my mind all scrambled up. Let me straighten it out.
Just shake your head a little bit. It usually works for me.
Yeah, I had to slap myself around a little bit. Okay, so he says, in the digital voice modes like embedded GPS data, short text messages, this is really challenging to put into this portion of the code. The networking protocol designed before the protocol had stabilized, he mentions that. I don't care about that. A very weak end of message indicator, a single bit. This is a lot of coding speak. He says the specification is weak. They need to do a little bit stronger. So they have a very weak end of message indicator. Okay, so that's part of the code. And the end of message indicator, weak part of the protocol. And so they need to attend to this in the Digital Voice 101. Then he mentions they need to include optional strong encryption, but this is against regulation in most countries and shouldn't even be thought about. Oddly enough, encrypted M17 wouldn't pass through an MMDVM-based repeater. Then he says an orphan vocoder doesn't sound very good either. Ambient on its forms is considerably better. Indeed, later versions of Codec 2, which take considerably less bandwidth, and the 3200 mode chosen for M17 sounded far better. So they didn't choose the 3200 version, they chose a weaker, like 1600 version or something like that. And then he talks about the wrong type of FEC. What's the FEC? Well, this is what the FEC was. Stand by. Okay, in the M17 specification documentation, the error correcting code, FEC, is forward error correction. So the individual components of a stream, which contains the payload data, is either the ECC or the FEC. So the error correcting code or the forward error correction. In case you're wondering what that was, I was wondering what that was. So I didn't know what the FCC was, so I kind of researched that. So that's the forward error correction. So he's bringing up all these issues that he was really upset about, and that's the technical portion. It doesn't really make sense, but I thought it was interesting that we kind of go over that. Then he, at the end, he expresses his appreciation and admiration for the OpenRTX project and team. And let me tell you who the OpenRTX project was. They're a huge portion of M17. Let me reset. No, I don't have to reset. So the OpenRTX they are the guys that wrote the firmware. So when you first turn on your M17 radio, I don't care if it's a CSI radio or a Baofeng radio, if you modify a MD390 or whatever, and you have to use firmware. Well, the firmware portion of the M17 project is the OpenRTX project. So when you first flip on one of those radios, it's going to say in big letters, M17 OpenRTX. And for any of those people that have an M17 radio, you know what I'm talking about. So that's the firmware portion. So they worked really hard, so he expresses his appreciation for that. And there is a need for an open source DV mode, digital voice mode. However, he says M17, he doesn't think that's that mode. Then he says, in parting, does anybody want to buy a used CS7000? Ooh, that's kind of an interesting statement. But so I just nitpicked that part around. A lot of it is, we're going to think it's mumbo jumbo, but it's actually designed to anybody that's really working with the M17 project. And I just thought that was interesting why he's pulling this. Okay, so M17's rebuttal. Oh yes, thank you, Matt N3PAY, who does the YouTube videos archives for us. Thank you very much. He put in a link for M17's rebuttal, and it's on m17foundation.org, and you can read that. I'm not even going to say what that link is because it's really long, but it's a really good, it goes into lots and lots of technical mumbo jumbo and a lot of statements on there. And yeah, FEC for error correction. Thank you about that. So and then they don't use Telegram. They use what's the other one? It's Discord. They use Discord. So if you're a member of the Discord group for M17, man, that thing was on fire. That thing was just beeping nonstop. A lot of M17 topics, and you guys can. I actually, if you want to and are interested, I'll put a link for that. Oh yeah, somebody already did. There you go. Thanks, Matt. So there you go. A lot of mumbo jumbo, but yeah, I think what's going on here is a little bit of egos and stuff like that, and some hurt feelings. But anyway, Jonathan is a very respected individual, and we have to give him lots and lots of thanks for KaiStar and WPSD and for all the coding he put into there. So he's not just some mumbo, scum kind of guy. He's a very respected individual. Chris, I'm going to pass it right back over to you for any other thoughts on M17.
Well, I suppose about the only thing I can say I already said, really, is just hold on to your hat. It's not over yet. This is, I think they're trying to make a point, and they certainly made it. But I don't foresee instant change, but it will. I feel sorry for Jerry at Connect Systems. Probably getting calls about refunds. And I know at least one of our friends of the net is a little unhappy. Our friend Vale. Uh, he bought the CS 7000, not the Plus, but still $300. Well, I got the microphone real quick. We've added 3 more people to our chat room. KD9YOO, VK2MFW, and KC8GEF. Bringing us up to 29 now. And back to you, Lucky. That's all I got. KD2IDX.
Yeah, one thing you can do with those M17 radios, you can download the firmware and convert them back to DMR radios. And they make, I guess, a very good DMR radio. So it's not a loss. And save your M17 firmware, but you can always download the DMR firmware and use that. So that radio is still useful. And it makes a good FM radio, and you can still talk to other M17 radios on digital mode. In fact, it's kind of a cool thing. If you have an M17 radio, if you have 2 of them, give one to your friend, and you would have a digital mode that probably no one else has. And I guess it would be pretty secure. So you don't even need encryption, because how many people have an M17 radio? So that would be cool. So that's cool. That's enough about that. Any other comments or questions about the M17 stuff? Okay, so we added after Steve in Texas. We added KD9YOO, and we added VK2MFW, and we added KC8GEF. Hey, thanks you guys. All right. Anybody have any questions for anything regarding anything with digital communication? C4FM, Fusion, D-Star, DMR, hotspots, or WiresX, or anything like that. Anybody have any questions for the net? Please come down with your call sign.
N3PAY, over.
All right, Matt. Oh, by the way, Matt, we gave you logging capability, so if anybody checks in, um, I'm going to have to show you this sometime. You can be a logger on the Handout Live. If anybody checks in on YouTube or puts their call sign in there, you can add them to the chat. Just type in I for incoming, space call sign, and they'll be added into the log. And give us your website and how to get to the YouTube video portion and the archive while you're asking your questions. So over to Matt, N3PAY. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Bucky. I appreciate it. The website is my old call sign, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Oscar Whiskey Bravo .net. And then that links to the really, really long URL that takes you to the YouTube channel that has the streams. And one of these days I'll put a little work in and find the old streams and index everything, but I don't know when that'll be. So here's my question. I have a day job as a computer programmer, and so I like to dream about computer programming. And when I hear that you can transmit data along with voice, I get excited because I once saw a demo of people playing chess over radio. And they were talking, texting, and playing chess, and the idea of voice mixed with data is really exciting. And I know that a lot of the digital modes transmit your call sign and other pieces of data along with things. And so my question is, are there any digital modes that are active today or on the drawing board where people will be able to mix in small amounts of text with each voice transmission? Thanks a lot. N3PAY, back to you.
Well, yes. I have used data a lot with Fusion. That is, I've been a Yaesu fan since 1992 when I switched over to Fusion radios, and I never looked back. I love Fusion radios. I also use D-Star and DMR, but I can tell you how I use data with Fusion, and so I can go into the Wires X mode, and I can send messages through the news information on the repeater or the room. So in WiresX you have rooms and you'll have nodes. So I can go to the node, or in this case the repeater, and send a message that way. I can add a news item and send text. Like for example, with my radio one time I said Happy New Year into a room or a Wires X node. So the problem is people would have to go into those categories and to see the message, and hardly anybody ever does. But we were playing around with it with a friend of mine, and we were sending messages to each other. But what I've really done more than anything is to send pictures with my transmissions. So in Moab twice a year, we do communications for an event to ride touring bikes through the Moab country in Arches National Park, and so we do it, and we do it all with C4FM. We have portable repeaters that we move to each location every day. This is a 4-day event, and we do it all with digital radio. And that lets us do group monitoring. It lets us keep track of our location. It lets us have compass heading on who's talking to me, so I can see how far away they are from me. If I want to get to an aid station and they're talking to me, I can see how close it is and which direction they are. So that is really cool stuff when I'm doing an event. And it's a lot neater than APRS, just APRS. And it doesn't take as much bandwidth. Let me reset. Okay, so a friend of mine had a special camera that I attached to a mobile radio, and I was able to take pictures right on the fly. And this is a separate connection, so I had a voice. This is really weird, but you got two microphones. You got one for your voice, and then you got a second microphone that plugs into a different jack for data, and you can also use it for voice. It's really weird, but it works, and it's a camera mic. I don't even think they sell them anymore, but I was able to point that microphone and take live pictures and then send them in my data stream. Or if I don't have the mic, I can take a picture with my camera, save it to a computer, and then put my SD card in there, save it to the SD card, and use my radio. I can transmit that picture over the radio, over the air, to whoever I'm talking to. Now, what that can be really neat, because if I come upon a scenario where we have somebody injured, or I need to take a picture of the situation, I can take a picture and send it to net control or something like that. Or if we have something like something's in the way and we have to get rid of a fallen tree or something like that, I can take a picture of that and send it to net control. So I've actually done that on these events with Fusion. Now I know you can do it with D-Star really easy too, but I've never done it with D-Star or DMR. So that's one example that I use with Fusion. I'm going to open it up here in just a minute. So anyway, back to you, Matt.
Thanks a million. This makes me so happy because 10 minutes ago I was really sad that M17 was perhaps going away because I was really excited about this voice and data stuff. And now I know that I just need to learn Wires X and DMR and C4FM better, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it, Bucky. N3PAY, back to net. Over.
Yeah, I'll try to locate those pictures. So it's really cool because I'm chatting with my wife, who's the net control operator, and I surprised her one time. And I'm in Moab, where it's very scenic, very beautiful scenery all around me. I took a picture of an arch, and while I was talking to her, I sent it. So when she was looking at her radio, it came up actually in full color on her. She was using an FTM 500, and it came there right on her screen in full color. A beautiful scenario of what I was looking at. A beautiful scene of an arch in Moab. And I took a picture of the picture on her screen, and I'll see if I can locate that and put it in the chat room. And it's really cool. So, does anybody have any experience doing data on DMR or D-Star? Please come down with your call sign. All right, so I know there's got to be. I've talked to old school D-Star users, and from way back, and they were able to send data and pictures through D-Star also. I don't know how easy it is to do it on DMR, but um, the new Yaesu radios are perfectly suited for data and sending pictures. Yeah, it does kind of sound like slow scan TV, doesn't it? But you have to have a good connection, I guess. But yeah, I was probably about 14 miles away, and I sent them through a repeater, believe it or not. So I sent it through the repeater, and it came to her on her screen And I thought that was really cool. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it was slow, but it did show up on our screen. This is W0SUN. I'm going to try to find those pictures when I get a chance, and I'll put them in there. All right, any other questions for the net? Please come now with your call sign. Okay, so we're all sad about M17, right? But really, how sad do we have to be? Honestly, how many people really use M17? You know, it's a great project, and I really hope that project really, hang on a second, I gotta move here, really takes off. And it's made so much progress. And this is kind of a step back, but honestly, I'm more interested in getting into P25. And P25 is a very proven technology. It's used by more safety organizations than anyone. And I mean, any other mode, even VMR. Everybody's using P25, especially Phase 2. P25 Phase 1 is more affordable because people are, all these organizations are getting rid of their old P25 equipment and buying new P25 equipment because it's mandated through certain requirements that you have to move toward the P25 Phase 2 portion. And P25 Phase 1 equipment is becoming very affordable, especially for ham radio. So there's P25 stuff coming, and it's just coming into existence all the time. So I'm really curious about P25, and I don't have a P25 radio, but I know that Chris bought one, and he bought the same one that I'm interested in buying. And so what's interesting is I'm going to give you a list of P25 reflectors. And I'm really curious about how this all fits together. But Chris just barely got into his P25 radio. He got it. He made a code plug for it, and he's using it, and he's getting on through his Hotspot, and he's pretty happy with it. So what are your experiences with your new P25 radio? I know you're not an expert at it yet, but you're soon going to be, and you have more experience than I do. So over to KV2IDX, I want to hear your experiences with your P25 radio.
Yeah, okay, Bucky. Well, uh, a technicality, I did not write the code plug for it. I adapted the one in it. The way this Astro 25 software is, that's the Motorola software, it doesn't look like it's real easy to create your own from scratch, but I haven't bothered because I was able to figure out how to adapt it. But my overall opinion, first of all, is I love it. It's great. It's different. But it seems like it's basically a mix between YSF and DMR. Because you have talk groups and zones, and YSF because it's all done in C4FM. And so that's kind of unique. The problem comes that these radios, which this is a Motorola XTS, X-Ray Tango Sierra 5000. And there are several models like it, the 2500 and the 3000, I think, 3100. They're all pretty much the same. They're capable of so much more that it can be confusing. to what you have to do. These are capable of the version 2 P25, which uses trunking and all the other stuff that we have no use for in ham radio. Version 1 P25 pretty much is either hotspot or repeater, and it's much simpler. So the radios have a lot more capabilities than we are capable of using on ham radio networks. And if I didn't have a little experience with DMR and both, I would have been lost. I got some help from Vail, who also has one of these radios. Let me reset. KB2IDX. The interesting thing is the way I have mine set up is basically I push a button to get into a zone, and then I push another one to change through the talk groups that I have listed, and then I have to select it. And once I select it, push the talk to link it. And it's like the D-Star, where you have to add the L to the end of your string of commands to link it. But that stays there all the time. And it's audible, as in, I can't remember the verbiage, but it'll say what you're linked to audibly. So that reminds me a little bit of D-Star, actually. But I actually find it fairly fun, and I wish there was more people on it. That's about all I could think of for the moment, Bucky, but maybe I can add more. That is the picture there. No, that's not it. That's not the 5,000. I'll see if I can find that picture. Back to you, Bucky. KB2IDX.
Oh yeah, that isn't, oops, that wasn't the 5000. I got another picture here of the 5000, but it's a Motorola radio. It looks similar. But that's a P25 radio right there, and you've got a Motorola P25 radio. Yes, it's true that phase 1 uses C4FM. Can you talk to a Yaesu radio? No, you cannot, because it's not the same type of modulation system. So it's not compatible going directly to a Yaesu radio. Plus it uses voice wide, which is interesting. And but that's really not the big thing about P25. So one thing that I wondered about, when you're looking at a radio, when you get your P25 and you're setting up your code plug, it is very similar, and it looks like a DMR radio. It smells like a DMR radio. It tastes like a DMR radio, and it acts like a DMR radio. You think it is a DMR radio because it's got zones, it's got talk groups, and it works the same way. So once you put in your channel and your talk group, you key up, and like KCY is 3131. Oh, what is it? I have to go look on the list. But, so you key up the talk group for Kansas City wide, and on the radio front end, it acts just like a DMR radio. But on the back end, let's look at if I want to set up a P25 system, what do I have to do? Let's compare the two. So a DMR radio compared to a P25 radio. Let me just tell you the process of setting up what we need to with a DMR radio. So let me reset. Okay, so DMR acts very similar. A DMR radio, you have to attach to a master somewhere. You can set up your own DMR network, but you have to set up a master server. And it's with Linux. So basically it's a master server. And Rocky Mountain Ham right here in Colorado has their own DMR network, and they set up their own master servers and their own talk group system based on the 700, 710, 720 talk group. And 700 goes to Colorado Central, 710 goes to somewhere like north, 720 goes south, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, it's a 700 talk group system, and yes, there are repeaters throughout the state. So that's an individual DMR network. Let's take Brandmeister. You have 3 USA master servers. So when you set up your hotspot, you have to set up to a Brandmeister master server. It's 3102, 3103, and 3104. All right. If you go to TGIF, you have to set up a master server for TGIF. If you go to AMCOM, you have to set up to one. You have to connect to one of their master servers, and that's all in your hotspot. And you have to go ahead and figure out how to get your hotspot to connect with the master server. You get the idea. So you need a master server. But let's say P25. You don't have to have a master server. It acts kind of like you're setting up a fusion system. So instead of the YSF network and setting up a reflector, you're setting up a P25 reflector. And so when you're setting this all up with a Linux computer, you set up a P25 reflector, it's not using the same software as DMR. It's not the same system, but you're setting it up as a reflector. So on the front end, on the radio, you just key up the top group, but it's actually going to a reflector, which is weird, but that's how it works. So I put a list, so the master of all lists is I like W0CHP. He has a digital radio list of all the different networks that you can connect to with your hotspot. And so you can go take a look at the P25 list.
We have a quick question in the chat room.
Okay, really cool. So the top group for America KC wide is 31313. 31313. On Brandmeister it's 313136. But on P25 it's 31313. Okay, no big deal. But that top group that you're keying up, it looks like a top group. It's actually a reflector. All right, so over to the question in the chat room. Who is asking the question? And I'm trying to find it. Where is the question? FT70D to OpenSpot 4 to P25. Anyway, who's asking the question? Please come down with your call sign.
KN6WES, this is John. I was wondering how I can go to P25 with my FP70D through the OpenSpot 4.
Okay, you're gonna love this. You're really gonna love this. So, and I've done this. This is so cool. So, with your FE70D, it works perfectly. So all you have to do is choose C4FM, and you go to the open space interface. You go to the OpenSpot interface, you go to Quick Setup. This is what I do. I go to Quick Setup, choose C4FM, and then choose P25, and then choose your reflector. You can choose KC wide, which is type in 31313, and you'll see America KC wide, and connect to that, right? So you connect to it, and if you're using digital narrow on your FT70D, guess what? It's not going to work. Okay, what are you forgetting? So this is what you have to do on the FT70D. Most of the time when I see an FT70D, when I get it brand new, and I use it on my hotspot, I can toggle, and with the mode button, I can go between digital narrow and FM. Digital narrow, FM. But hey, voice wide's not there. Where's voice wide? I'm missing voice wide. So you have to go into the setup and enable voice wide. So, and it's not just FT70D. You have to do this on other radios too. But, for example, if my FTM400 and I'm doing the toggle switch and it's not showing up with voice wide, you're going to have to go into the setup and enable it to show voice wide. Not all radios you have to, but some radios you do. So then you toggle and you do voice wide. So when you're connecting from C4FM over to P25, if you're not using voice wide, it's not going to work. That's the only time you can use voice wide over a hotspot. Back over to you, John.
Well, thank you. That helps a lot. I'll have to look into that. Appreciate it, Bucky. KN6WS, back to net.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of fun. And also, it uses your DMR ID. You don't have to get, your existing radio ID. It works. If you want to try NXDN, that's the only one where you have to go back to radioid.net and register for a specific NXDN ID. So I've got two IDs from radioid.net. I've got a DMR radio ID, and I've also got a NXDN radio ID. So, but everything else, P25, all the DMR modes, you just need that same radio ID. So I know that, John, you're set. You're fine. You can just go ahead and use that, no problem. And it's really easy to do. Just don't forget voice wide. And I think that's really cool that they use voice wide like that. And I also think it's really cool that P25 Phase 1 uses C4FM as well. All right. Over to Chris, KBQIDX. Anything else I'm missing? And does anybody else want to comment on their experience with P25? I'll send it over to Chris first, and then you can ask the question.
Well, you got the one about voice wide. Josh reminded us in the chat room, and I had forgotten all about it. Because once you go to a Motorola, you don't need to worry about that. But yes, you have to change that to voice wide in order to make it work. The other thing that bothers me, and I think it will be eventually fixed, is that the drop-down list in the hotspot for P25 lists talk groups and IP addresses. There's no alpha to it. But yet when we look at the list on either WPSD or PyStar, actually he told me PyStar was blank, if I remember correctly, and it has the alpha names there. So hopefully eventually that'll blend over and we'll be able to have the alpha names on the drop-down list. That's the only other thing I was thinking about P25. Well, I have the microphone. Let me add a few names in the chat room. W0SSB, KF0LPT, W3SJS, KB0LSM, K5RUN, W3KBD, KDB, almost got me. And I see we have been joined by another person who may have felt the pain of purchasing a $500 radio and woke up to finding it useless the other day, somewhat. Right, Brad? Brad is out here with us tonight, KB0LSM. Perhaps since he has also been involved in M17, he might be able to give us the perspective that I don't mean to put you on the spot, Brad, but I see you're there, and I know you have M17. So, what do you think? Over to you. KB2IDX over to KB0LFM.
Well, thanks, Chris. Good evening, everybody on the net. Well, no, actually, I'm kind of glad I bought the 7000 Plus. I was needing another DMR radio, and changing modes is just a key press. So, not too upset about that. I do think it's way too early to decide. I don't think it's a death sentence for the project. I think it was a power move and somebody trying to get somebody's attention, and we'll just have to see where it all shakes out. I was fortunate enough to had switched over to Pi-Star and then, disabled the updates and all that. So my M17 is still up and working. WPSD did go ahead and remove it out, so unless you go and get one of the forked versions, to get it back into the host files. So there's some workarounds. I just think it's too early to say, but the Connect systems, I mean, they're probably even the 7000 or the 7000 Plus. I mean, they are good radios. They're probably just a notch down from the Motorola's. So back over to you.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it's just hang on and let's see how it plays out. Not much we could do anyway. Okie dokie. So we've got two good subjects under the belt tonight. Uh, Anything else for us tonight, Bucky? You got any more stuff up your sleeve? And thanks for being out there, Brad. Back to you, Bucky. KB2IDX.
Yeah, these P25 radios are pretty amazing. And a few weeks ago, we had a guest from Utah who's putting in one of the first, not the first, but one of the first P25 ham radio trunk systems in there. Now, he does IT work for one of the sheriff organizations, the Utah County, maybe not Utah County, but one of the sheriff organizations. He does all their P25 radios, and so he does that for a living. And he's also putting in P25 trunk system, which is pretty amazing. Now, we're just scratching the surface talking about P25. So when you're in ham radio, really, all you're going to be doing is going to a reflector through your hotspot. And if you want to see the different Utah, there's like 4 different talk groups, or we call them reflectors, that are tied into this trunk system in Utah. You just look up Utah on the list that I put in there. Just go to w0chp.radio. That's where you get WPSD for the Raspberry Pi, and you look at the digital list, and then you click on P25 and you type in Utah. You can see all the Utah talk groups and reflectors or whatever on P25. So he's tying those into a trunk system. That's one of the reasons I want to get a P25 radio, because I go to Utah a lot because my kids live over there, and I want to use that trunk system, and that's pretty neat. So we've been talking a lot about that. And I know when we were in Hamvention, Chris and I ran into those guys, and they were buying up P25 radios like crazy, getting really good deals. Let me reset. So one of the things what's really cool with let me see if I can remember this. I'm looking up my notes. Okay, here we go. So with P25 Phase 1, they use, they don't use time division. They don't have time slots. There's no time slot 1 and time slot 2 in P25 Phase 1. But P25 Phase 2 uses time slots. So they went from FDMA, frequency division, multiple access mode, to time division multiple access mode, which gives you time slot 1 and time slot 2. But when you're using a P25 radio in a public system, you really don't pay attention to that. All you know as a user is you get twice as many channels on the bandwidth. And in DMR, when you're using ham radio with DMR, you get, if you're using it on a repeater or a duplex hotspot, on a repeater, I can be using time slot 1, and somebody on the club can be still using that repeater. It's not tied up because they can use time slot 2, and we're not even hearing it, or we're not interfering with each other, and we're using that same bandwidth, 12.5 gigahertz, and we're splitting it in two with two separate conversations. And that's the most amazing thing. But P25 doesn't use it that way. What they do is they split it up into channels, and they have a control channel that interfaces with the trunking system, and then that uses a control portion that puts you into the right system with the trunking system, and then sends you to the right repeater and things like that. It's pretty sophisticated. And when you're using Phase 1, you only get like 3 or 4 channels. But if you upgrade to P25 Phase 2, you get twice as many channels with the same bandwidth, but it's a lot more expensive. Let me reset. Okay, so that's the cool thing about Phase 2, and that's why they're all these agencies are upgrading to Phase 2, because they're going into these sophisticated trunking system, and they need more channels, including a control channel to handle this trunking system. And that's why it's really good for ham radio, and we're picking up P25 radios for cheap. Now, by the way, if you have a Phase 1 system and somebody comes with a Phase 2 radio, it's compatible with Phase 1. Even though Phase 1 is C4FM and Phase 2 is not C4FM, and they don't care about that. They care about the radio will sense that it's a Phase 1 radio and switch and go from TDMA to FDMA and go through the system, and it's totally compatible. So I think that's really fascinating. That's why it's more expensive too. So those P25 Phase 2 radios are so expensive because they have to be able to go for, and be backwards compatible, where the Phase 1 radios don't. So that's partly what's going on with P25. But it's pretty exciting in the public safety sector. Now, you know who uses DMR radios these days, besides ham radio operators? It's not the sheriff's office, it's not police and fire, it's businesses. Businesses are the #1 users of DMR radio in the business world. So if they want to go digital, they're not going to be using P25 radios. It's too expensive. They're going to be using DMR radios. That's what I'm finding out when I was doing research. So if you're going digital with a business, pretty sure you're going DMR. If you're going digital with public safety, I'm pretty sure you're going to be going to P25. All right. And I can't wait. Oh, by the way, we're talking about M17. I really still want my Shark RF mic device. I really want that to include M17. They don't have to really worry about an MDVM, I'm hoping, but that would be really cool if they still include M17. All right. Any other questions or comments for the net? We just added Marv. Thanks for joining us in the chat room, AE0NO. Any other questions for the net? Please come now. Okay, so starting today, this is the first day of the new format, and it's pretty much the same type of format we're using with the digital learning net. However, due to my problems with rehab, and I'm still recovering in a lot of ways. And I get pretty exhausted. I get tired faster, or at least for now. I mean, and it's not going to be this way forever. But we've been doing one net on Wednesday night, and then we go to America Casey White, and we do another net on Thursday night, and that does get tiring. And so for me, on Wednesday night, I start out with the Digital Utah net at 6 o'clock over one of the P25 channels, or you can go to 314900, and that's the Brandmeister Talk group. So I start there on Thursday night, and a lot of times I'm net control operator. We have three of us, and we all alternate talk net control duties. So I start out there, and then I've been doing the 7 o'clock digital learning net, then I've been doing the HD after hours net, and sometimes I still hang around and we go on MCOM and we do I've been calling it the unofficial after hours zombie digital net, but and that's been on AMCOM on 31088. But so then I get pretty tired, and then I do Thursday night KCY. So here's what's going to happen now. What we're doing is we're shortening the net a little bit. So we're going to do it 45 minutes. So it's the end. It's time to end the net actually right now. Here's how it's going to work. Let me reset really quick. Okay, since we do two nights, and they're going to start being related to each other too. So here's the way I really would like it. Now, it might not be this every single week, but we're going to try to do this. So Wednesday night is the advanced night. It's more the intermediate advanced stuff. I'm going to be talking about stuff that I'm not going to maybe talk about on KC-wide. I'm going to go down more rabbit holes on Wednesday night. So there's not as many check-ins on Wednesday nights, and we've been doing this net for 6 years on the digital learning net. And the original net was called the Colorado HD net every Tuesday night. Bud, W0RMT, ran from 2018 to 2022. He ran on Talk Group 31088 Colorado HD net every single Tuesday night. And then when he retired the net in 2022, he started recommending to people to go over to the digital learning net on Wednesday nights. And we were over on Skyhub Link at the time, but we migrated over here and moved over to Colorado HD. So with that, we're bringing back the old name, Colorado HD net. But instead of abbreviating it, we're going to be calling it the Colorado Hotspot Discussion Net in the full format. It's the new Colorado Hotspot Discussion Net on Colorado HD. So that's the official name, but here's the format. Let me reset. So we're going to start at 7 o'clock, just same channel, same time, same place. Don't have to change a thing. It's even the same chat room, except it's been renamed on Ham.live. We're going to be doing check-ins, the same kind of thing, and the same kind of format, but we're going to end the net a little bit sooner. Then we're going to leave a net 1 minute space, and people can check out. But we're not going to bring up another Ham.live room. We're going to keep the same Ham.live open, and we're not going to bring up an HD After Hours Net chat room. We're just going to leave it open the whole time. So that's one of the things that are different. And then we're just going to be chatting about whatever we want. And so it's going to go from 7 to 7:40, 7 to 8:15, and then 8:15 to 8:45 or 9 o'clock. And then we're not going to drag it out as much, but that way we can get extra sleep and we don't have to put as much effort in, and then we still have Thursday night. Now here's how they're going to be related too. This is the cool thing. So on Thursday night is actually the first night, and we're going to bring up topics, all kinds of stuff. And we're going to bring up hotspots, wires X nodes, a lot of stuff, and we're not going to go down deep down rabbit holes. I like to go down rabbit holes. I like to bring to your attention all kinds of things that are out there that you may not know that's existing. And I really like to do that, but I can't do that on KCY. We have like 85 check-ins over there versus like 40 to 50 over here typically. And we have a lot more people listening over there and not as many here. And so I'm a lot more comfortable doing more advanced topics. So sometimes we're going to be talking about a topic, and I'm going to wish I could go take you deeper, but sometimes we're going to carry over the topic to the next week on Wednesday night, and I'm going to bring up reference to what we talked about the previous week on Thursday, and then I'm going to do a follow-up on Wednesday and take you down a little bit deeper down different rabbit holes. So I'm going to kind of get you excited on Wednesday and then talk about it. If you want to know more, tune in on the next Wednesday, and then tune into the Colorado Hotspot Discussion Net, and we'll take you a little bit more deeper. So that's how it's going to work. Or we're going to use the After Hours Net and reference what we talked about the previous week. So they're going to kind of start being related to each other. And with that, I've said enough. Let me turn it over to Chris, and you can end the formal portion, and then we'll go into the informal portion. KBQIDX is W0SUN.
Just one quick question before I do. You started to tell me what the timeline was. You started at 7. Is there an official time when it changes over to the after hours?
Well, we're going to try to, it's going to be flexible. I mean, we're going to try to keep it from 7 to 8:15 officially, and then leave a 1 minute break, and then start the after hours informal portion. We're still going to call it the Colorado HD Happy Hour, and then we're not going to bring up a separate chat room, and then we'll end it whenever we feel like it. But approximately, if there's nothing going on, we'll end it in a half hour instead of keep it open for an hour. So that's the format. But like right now, it's 20 after, and we're still going. But we're ending the official portion and then going into the, the less formal portion, I should say. Not the official, but the formal to the informal. Over to you.
There's no such thing as one-word answers with you, is there? Just picking on you, man. Oh, great. Good evening, everybody. That was fun. I thought I learned a few things, and it's good to have it out on that. So thanks to everybody that we had 36 check-ins tonight, and we're going to take some more over the air just to check in a minute before we officially close. But thanks to the check-in people, thanks to the listening people, and special thanks to Sean, KK6 Bravo Echo Bravo, for Ham.Live. This is a great system, and it helps a lot. Thanks to those other groups that have loaned their repeaters to us, like I think there's a few SkyHub links over here. Maybe Parker is also over here. And yes, I also see the Catalina Island M6ACT. I think they're here as well. Welcome all aboard. Glad you're here tonight. Stick around, and we will. Oh, did you want to tell it? You can tell us in the after hours if you want, Bucky, or when I'm done. Something about Telegram. But thank you guys. It's been a good night, and I look forward to next week and tomorrow night over on KCY. And please leave. Actually, I'm going to turn it back to Bucky. I think he has something to say, and then we'll. Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead, Bucky. Tell us about what you want with Telegram, and then that'll be done, and we'll just give us a pause when you're done, so that everybody can disconnect if they want to. KV2IDX.
Yeah, we need to mention this. So, the Digital Learning Net Telegram chat room, we're not going to be using that room. We're going to be using the original ColoradoDigital.net Telegram chat room. If you go to ColoradoDigital.net and go to the bottom of the page, you're going to see, please join our Telegram room or Telegram group, and just click on that and you'll get an invite and you can join us. A lot of you are already members of it anyway, but I put an invite into the chat room, or just go to ColoradoDigital.net, scroll down to the bottom, and join the Telegram group. And that's where we're going to be doing a lot more discussions about anything about digital stuff or anything you really want to bring up to the group. It's a community, and there's no categories, just put stuff out there, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to be using it a little bit more often and during the week, and then we'll be discussing what we post in there on the net. So that's what's going to happen. So join us in the Telegram room, and it's been around a long, long time. That Telegram room has been around longer than the Digital Learning Net Telegram room. And so I'm just going back to our main room. So that was my news item. And thank you, everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris to wrap it up, and then we'll go into the HD Happy Hour.